Speaking of managers, though, just coming out in 24 hours ago, this is all but pending an official announcement, but I'm sure football fans all around the world would have heard about the situation of Chris Wilder to resign/sack by Sheffield United. I mean, he's brought Sheffield United through the leagues. He's done so well last season. Unfortunately, we all know the situation they're in this season. But I would question the timing of it. With 10 games left, is that timing a bit of a surprise to you, Stephen? Should if this turns out to be true.
Yeah, I think listen, there's so many reports on it now, and there's been a few little nibbles in the press from Chris Wilder towards the owners about the recruitment policy and the way things are going forward. This guy should never be sacked. He should never be sacked. It should be his decision whether he walks and feels that he can't continue to take this club forward. The way that he's done the job in the 5 years that he's taken over has been quite incredible. Pep Guardiola came out with a sort of a comment yesterday and said, listen, he hasn't been sacked yet, but if he was at Manchester City, he'd be fighting for the league title. If I was at Sheffield United, I'd be fighting relegation. That's the situation the clubs are in. You look at the impact of the fans. They are a huge, passionate fan base as well. Tough place to go and play your football. That's affected them this year. What he has done, what he's got, though, is a core of players. He's had a lot of injuries, but the players that he's got in place, I feel they come straight back up. I think they're so well suited to come straight back up. And the lessons he would learn to then progress Sheffield United into a top 10 team, mid-table team in the Premier League, which is great for a team like Sheffield United. He deserves that opportunity.
See, a bit hard done by, Mario. There's a lot of angles to go about. There's 10 games left to play. Barely any managers will come in for those final 10 games with the situation that they're in. If they do go down, like Stephen said, Chris Wilder might be the best man to bring that up again. You've got a squad of players who's played for Chris Wilder through the leagues, players who believed in him, and just sacking him at this point may risk stabilising the squad even more. And let's face it, they still have the FA Cup quarter-finals against Chelsea next week. That's another one they could still play for, Mario.
Yeah, of course. I totally agree. You know, like when you have a manager, look, we also have to understand this is the English league, right? And if you want, like for me, myself, when I went to England, I wanted to touch that the way of playing and the way they thought about it. I felt like they got a Chris Wilder now. He has that traditional way of the way English think and play, but then he mixed it up with the experience that he developed himself over the years and made him a different. Because how many English managers do we know that's going to play 3-4-3? We don't know a lot of them. They're going to do that, but he did it because he believed in it and the way his tactical was set up. And last season he got to the 9th position. The only question I had for myself was only for him was like, you did the first season, he got to the 9th position, yeah, and then the season after that, now he's fighting for relegation. Because it's up and down. Because some players, when they hit that peak, it's very hard for them to come back into a situation of performing and doing it again. And I think that's what he's experienced himself. So that's why he's learning from it. But I just feel like they might be hard done in the sense of like, if you change it, you have to really look really carefully who you're going to bring. Because you have to remember, you're getting a squad that everybody has to understand whatever the new manager wants and is capable of doing. If not, you end up buying a whole new team.
But like I said, it is pending an official announcement from Sheffield United, but it looks to be confirmed based on the news you're receiving, Stephen.
Yeah, I think there's been so many outlets in the UK talking about it at the moment, lots on social media. And again, we go back to the interviews that Chris Wilder's touched on. The things that he says in the interviews, you don't say them type of things if there's trouble behind the scenes, and it is a concern. It's if I'm being brutally honest, it's probably this is sometimes when you look at football and you look at management, it's often the reason you don't go into it. I mean, how do you do the job that Chris Wilder's done and carried out for the last 5.5 years? A fan of the club. So he's got the best interest of the club at heart. He's taken them from League One to the Championship, then up into the Premier League. He's let them believe and dream, the Sheffield United fans. And then one bad season, and that's you done. Incredible.
Would you ever be a manager?
Yeah, I'd like to be, but those situations put you off because it's such a short-lived opportunity. I think gone are the days where you sign a 4-year contract as a manager and you're given that 4 years to make sure that you can build the team, put your philosophy in it, change things behind the scenes that you perhaps want to change, the infrastructure, the mentality of the whole club, if you like, because it doesn't just come on the pitch. It's every day when you walk into a training ground. Everything behind the scenes has to be right to create the right mentality, the right infrastructure, to make sure that everything's right on the pitch.
Maybe a good example is what Bielsa's given at Leeds United, that freedom to do what he wants. That's perhaps a good example.
Absolutely. But what the club have done is they've allowed him to do that. They've backed him fully. They've given him a huge budget behind the scenes to make sure the training ground has completely changed from when I was there, because they believed in this manager. But he comes with a huge reputation. He failed in his first year of getting Leeds up. But was it a failure? No, it's a learning curve for the manager. And the board trust him then to go, OK, make sure you put it right the next year. We'll give you the opportunity to do it. Chris Wilder's almost, again, OK, he might have failed this year. But what that might teach him for the next 5 to 10 years, Sean Dyche, look at Sean Dyche at Burnley. He went down with Burnley, learned so many lessons, and look at them now, 7 years in the Premier League. Incredible job. But he had to learn how to fail to then succeed to be better.
Any interest in management, Mario?
No. You know what? I love playing football. I love my life as a footballer, but outside I love it. Look, the only thing that I focus on, I own a playground here in Amsterdam, and it's for the age group. You understand, between 9 and 16. I created tournaments for them. And my fortunate part, I had already in the year, I owned that field for 10 years now. And I have maybe 4 players already that made it to Ajax. So I think in that scale, you understand, and they became my best player because I picked the best player and I picked the team that wins. So yes, do I create young talents? And to a certain age, yes, I do that. I focus on that. But do I want to be a manager? No. I just want to give them the right ingredients so they can push on and become top level. But I don't want to focus because the Dutch way of the way we play and the way we build players, that's great for me. But when I look at players like managers, the way they get treated, I know exactly how this game is played and how to achieve it. I love it, but I don't want to age too fast, so I love being outside.